Hello and welcome to the dive presented by nothing today.
Presented by you.
I'm deleting.
You're removing the presented by?
I'm removing the no, just this one.
Just this one?
Because it would give away a joke that we have later.
Oh my god.
This is season 6 we're in now. Wow, getting old, aren't we? Episode 18.
Where's Azael?
Azael?
Where is he? I'm Azael.
Azael doesn't feel that good. He may have had food poisoning, maybe sick. Also, our makeup artist tested positive for COVID, so everything is falling apart. But Raz is here to put it back together.
Oh.
Raz did our makeup and hair today.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
The makeup artist wasn't here. How do you even look semi-decent, Mark?
We broke in to where they hold the hair products, and we used them. That's it.
I like how you only targeted at him. What about me? I don't look semi-decent?
No, you don't always look as disheveled.
Yes. This man literally walks in, even when the fans...
Delta.
I thought he would change up when the fans started to come in, but no, he still walks in pajamas. Like his hair
He
is
looks
purposely
exactly
out of
like how the makeup artists make him now. I feel like he could easily do it himself all the time.
Exactly.
This way.
I feel
Looks
like now the jig is up.
This is how I come
Looks
in
great.
every day.
Okay, don't put these near me though. Those
Okay,
are
my bad.
dirty.
So some people might have noticed there's a lot of stuff on the desk right now. Kobe, does anyone know why, Raz, do you know why this is? Raz, do you know why all this stuff is here?
I don't know. I got
inkling?
word this morning that I was doing this. So I have no idea. You have to be the one surprising me. Oh, I know why.
Why is it?
Azael got food poisoning.
No.
It's a celebration.
Guess again. It might be some people's birthdays. Whose birthdays do you think it might be?
Oh my god. Okay.
You get 3 guesses.
You have 3 guesses.
It's Kobe's birthday.
And
Anyone else's?
Oh. I knew there was a double birthday, but I don't remember who it was. I'm gonna say.
There's two
Oh
birthdays- there's
no,
two
I don't
birthdays
know.
today.
Actually,
who's
no.
my birthday twin?
I was
Hint.
told it was
They're
somebody.
Semi-internet famous.
Okay, that's
They work on
clever.
the dive.
They work on the dive, Elias.
Nope. One more guess or 2 more guesses? He got the first one right. You get 3 wrong guesses, so 2 more
Yeah.
guesses.
Mark.
3 wrong.
It's
guesses.
me!
Let's go!
Hey.
Did anyone get gifts for anyone?
I got you a used
That's awful. I'm never doing that again.
Boozoo Boo thing.
I
What?
got 2
Dude.
gifts for Kobe. The first one is a mouse pad from Players, Paramount Plus.
Wow.
It's gift
Whoa.
recycling because we got these from the premiere that we went to.
Oh, I didn't go to the premiere.
There you go.
Now I
Have a great one. Yeah.
Oh.
I got you a non-branded
So,
chocolate bar.
At
That is branded.
our birthday party,
Yeah.
we give out party favors. This is something that only really happens at children's parties. But congratulations for coming to our birthday party, Raz.
Oh, thank you.
I have a
Party
second
favor.
gift. It's earplugs for rooming with Travis.
Okay,
Anytime he
these I'm
starts-
actually gonna
Anytime
keep-
he starts talking, you can just plop them right in there.
These I'm actually going to keep because I need these.
Yeah.
Because his, office is right next to my bedroom.
Yeah, it's when he's working that it's annoying, right? Not just 24/7.
Okay.
Anyways, that's it. No more birthday gifts, I guess.
Congratulations.
That was fun. Good job, Mark.
There we go.
Great job to us. Anyways, into the LCS, baby.
Let's do it.
Because this is a League of Legends Championship Series
Podcast.
podcast. Well, it's a show as well as a podcast.
It was a great week at the LCS.
Wasn't it, though?
Yeah.
We had probably our most fun, exciting game right next to our biggest dud of a game. The CLG Evil Geniuses game was an absolute banger, though. If you did not catch that game live,
Please watch it.
actually go back and watch it. Even if you don't normally watch VODs, it was so much fun.
I mean, it ramped pretty well throughout the day. There was Golden Guardians TSM, and then it was TL Fly, which also had some pretty good play, as well as some big throws, and it was back and forth. C9 100 Thieves was just a clean game for C9. And then
Good, clean fun for everybody.
Good,
Bring
clean
the whole family. That one was PG.
I mean, it was a hype matchup too.
Yeah.
100 Thieves versus C9, and then CLG EG was a banger, and
Yeah.
then it ended with a little bit of a flop. But
A flop? What? I thought it ended great.
do you like the perfect game almost for Dig versus Immortals?
I love it.
Perfect game.
I wanted
God.
to see them get stomped into the ground for what they did for the majority of that game. So I just wanted.
You were angry on the cast.
Yeah, I was a little bit angry.
Wait, Kate, explain to me
How-
why you were pissed.
How dare that? It happens every once in a while where teams will just pick 3 losing lanes and do nothing for 25 minutes and then surprise Pikachu face at the end when they get obliterated and they get either perfect gamed or almost perfect game. Oftentimes, for extra credit bonus points, you pick 3 losing lanes with an early game jungler that has no lane to work off of and then scales like dog doo-doo also.
Lee Sin is a bridge champion.
I'm not saying this is the case.
Well, they
of
burned
that.
the bridge down.
I'm saying for bonus points. Was it Lee Sin, by the way? What did they even have as their
I
jungle?
thought it was Lee Sin jungle, and I said that ironically about the bridge champion because he had literally nothing he was building the bridge from.
Well, I mean, you could try and build the bridge. They had a lot of late game stuff that they could, and they would love to have a bridge to, but they can't build a bridge that big.
Starts the bridge in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, the jungler was Lee Sin.
It was Lee Sin?
It was Lee Sin.
Well, Lee Sin is actually fine later stages, to make plays and stuff. But regardless, I was angry. Yeah.
Yeah. You get those games. I remember who was angry at this one? It was a while ago. This was on Dignitas when Aframo was on the team. And there was a specific game where
it's usually
nothing
Freak.
was
So
done.
if you're asking
Yeah, I
who
think it
was
Freak.
angry at this, your
I think it
default
I think it
answer,
was Freak. I'm
The
pretty sure.
CLG nothing proactive
Yeah.
call.
which
Yeah.
is so crazy considering this game, which the Evil Geniuses one that we're talking about being best game that we've had in a very long time. CLG had extremely good macro. They were extremely proactive the entire game.
Yeah.
And there was back and forth because there are moments where, this extreme scaling of the Corki and Ezreal did take over, and Evil Geniuses, had the ball basically for the proverbial ball for
The theoretical game state lead.
yeah,
is the ball.
exactly.
I don't think there's been a team in a while like this where they make one change. In this case, it was Dhokla, but not a meaningful, huge team shifting change like mid jungle or support, right? And they make basically a 180 from split 1 to split 2. And a lot of it, you talk to the players, it feels like everything is just kind of gelling and working. I remember talking to Poom at the beginning of last split. For him, he was talking about just this is when they're coming into the studio. There wasn't fans.
Yeah.
But they were coming into the studio, and for a lot of those players, it was this is new. Being on stage, hearing white noise, nervousness there. It felt like for them, there was a real ramp-up period that not a lot of people talk about when it's okay, what changed? Well, time. That's what changed.
And CLG, a bunch of LCS teams went over to Korea to boot camp,
Yes.
but they went over really early as well. And so they were all practicing together, which is a big thing. A lot of the teams could not get everybody over at the same time, visa issues, back and forth, and all this stuff. But to your point of time, that time in practice, they did it both here. They did it on stage in the LCS. They went over to Korea, did that as well, scrimming, solo queue and stuff. So I just love this story of CLG. If you look back over the history, and the high peaks at the very beginning and the long trough that we've had recently, but now then rebuilding with all basically academy players and having this success. Is such a cool story that is heartwarming because it's an actual success story of climbing the ladder.
I think it's crazy because they obviously had to deal with coming in and playing on stage for the first time, but they were also not doing well in scrims. I heard at the start of spring. You asked them, how you guys feeling? And they're like, eh.
Yeah.
And I think Contractz has improved massively from running it down a fair amount at the start of spring to being incredible.
He's always got a little bit of carry and a little bit of int in him, and you guys decide which one's gonna take over.
Which one's gonna rock? Coming over.
I played tons of games with him for a long time. I love him. And I'm so glad that he's popping off.
That was the other thing I was gonna go with. It was I think not only are the games fun right now, there's a lot of teams who are trading games back and forth. TSM drops Team Liquid, and then they lose to Golden Guardians, and there's this duality in a lot of these games right now. But also the players are really, I think, stepping up in terms of Contractz on the desk was great. Dokla's interviews have been great. He was on Hotline League. I do shill it sometimes, but I will actually legitimately be this was a great episode. Dokla made it really fun.
Weren't you just complaining that in the morning about the beginning of it and how Travis was dragging everything
He
down?
does drag it.
He does drag stuff.
No.
Depending on the topic. Depends on the topic.
It was a good episode.
I do really like focusing on Dokla, which both of you have been doing though, because this guy has been in this full grind mentality ever since the tragic Optic days.
Yeah.
And it's so rare. And I said this on cast too. It's so rare in the League of Legends ecosystem for, the competitive pros to actually survive something like that. Something like the crash of Optic and everybody, critiquing you. And
Yes.
He was an amateur, not even like academy.
yeah,
He was
he
out.
bounced all the way down and climbed all the way back up.
Yep.
Got MVP of academy, and has made the biggest change of any single player this year to a team.
Yeah.
It's incredibly impressive. And you're talking about it's not just the in-game stuff; it's also the out-of-game, the mentality that he's bringing.
Yeah.
And super exciting stuff.
There was an interview, I think Inbound Global, I think it was Nick, and it was actually an interview with Stixay and the decision of like basically what he was doing in the offseason, coming back in, and how he didn't want to be a player. And this is a shared feeling with a lot of players in the LCS that either are put in a bad situation or they themselves just have a bad split, right? Or, all of the above, where they don't want to be. The idea of not wanting to be stuck in academy or stuck in amateur or out of the system for years, because that is daunting mentally speaking, right? Because people will definitely speak dirt on your name if you're out because of the split. Like that's the last time they see of you. They're not going to be watching for the most part academy or amateur and the journey on the way back.
It happened to Contractz too.
Yeah.
He climbed his way all the way back up also. Remember the original Contractz on Cloud9 and
Yes.
going all the way worlds and
Then the
everything?
Golden
In
Guardians
the Golden
contract.
Guardians age, yeah. So like that journey on the way back, it's like you finding yourself. He even on that episode that you were talking about saying that it was a mentality shift for him. He felt like he was there, mechanically, but it was more so getting people to know what he has been doing. And Champs Q has actually been helping in that one is what he also stated. So I think the current system long term will help people improve in what they're doing. But then of course in the short term will show people those who are already there and ready to move into the LCS ecosystem or back into that system. And that's a great system. So I think for Dhokla, going back to that topic, I'm excited for him and what he can do during the split. And he's already proven people wrong.
Yeah. Plus, it continues the story that we built up, last split and this year with a lot of the North American talent starting to take center stage.
Yeah.
With the EG story of the young, Danny and JoJo and stuff. The fact that we have, more also, and it's not just this kind of flash in the pan thing is.
Yeah,
meaningful.
it's super hype. The players stepping up on content. The final thing that was stepping up, I'd say the broadcast was. I think we crushed last weekend. I think we had some good
Cat on the rat.
Cat on the rat.
Cat on the rat.
Cat on the rat.
Some good stuff, Mark.
I'm awesome. But also, I think the casts were good. Like I felt I just saw.
Yeah, they were.
I think everything last weekend was like, wait, there was good games. The players were entertaining. Like. On the desk and in interviews, and like Sven was great as well. For an example, when he was on the desk on Saturday, like it was just a great weekend all around.
You wrote Cat on the rat, right? How long did that take you? Or whatever?
Yes and no. So like I pitched the idea. Emin, our producer, came up with like a rough script overnight, and then in the morning I tweaked it, and I had found the gameplay clips that we were going to use as like the illustrations, and I didn't know that Emily in the morning just like cranked that picture out in like 20 minutes. It was insane.
In the read through, she had the like booklet and out everything, arts and craft cutting out what she already drew.
Yeah.
So the moment we saw that, you're like, oh wait, we did not expect this.
Yeah, it was perfect for like a physical prop. And then, the script came together pretty quickly, and
everybody
shot it that
came
morning.
together. Shout outs to Emin, by the way. That's he wrote it also.
Yeah.
He's definitely a super strong producer.
He's
plus,
a warrior.
On the spot writer.
Yeah.
For you as well.
No, it turned out much. I was even a little worried where I'm like, am I about to narrate a children's rhyme to this audience?
Yes, we were talking about it. That could either be incredibly Kringa.
Best part. Of course, is the ending with Aframu's face. Like, you're talking about, it could end up kind of cringe. Even as good as it was, like if the ending was like, you just kind of petered out or whatever, and it was just a Dr. Seuss thing. But like the ending, brought it all together.
Yeah, he looked spent after that game. Dude.
It's a perfect
I was
picture.
talking to him immediately after that game, and he was like, "How was the game?" I was like, "I was playing Yumi." Just it's like talking about, I was like, sleeping, saying like, what am I supposed to do on this champ?
So good, so good. Okay, so we also have patch transition this week, which
Yes.
I'm super excited for because I am 99% sure that Bel'Veth is enabled.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave that 1% to be corrected later if I'm.
You know what I'm 99% about that I'm also excited for?
What?
Let's end the trade bug, guys.
Oh, yes.
End the
Okay, I'm
trade bug.
100%
You're
excited for
100%
that.
Sure?
Yes.
Oh, you're 100% excited for it.
Yeah, I'm 100% excited for
Yeah,
it.
same.
I'm also 99% with you, hoping for sure that it will happen.
So I've been told that the next patch will do the end of it. So I'm excited for that reason. We were kind of lucky this week. I know that we've still had it, of course. A lot of regions had it. But on Saturday, we had it like sometimes, like maybe 1 or 2 games.
Yeah.
Whereas I was watching the LEC Saturday where it was a nightmare. They were having it nearly every game. Meanwhile, the Vitality series also had a remake. Because it was like initially paused and then Chrono broke failed. They remade the game. The trade bug happened there. So it was just like, oh God, please stop this experience. So I don't think this was like the worst kind of client bug ever for competitive. There was a worse client bug, I think, in 2018. I don't exactly remember where it was, but I think it was an also equal like champion select trying to get in that stopped it.
And this one, so since I wasn't here for week 1, I skipped like the week 1 part of it. But this week it actually wasn't that bad. Like I got a couple of them and it was kind of fun just like playing games with the audience during that time anyway. I'm sure that if it kept happening every week, I'd be like, oh my God, we got to fill for another 7 minutes or whatever. But it was actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
For the little dip that we had. Have you looked through the patch though, Raz? Usually the way that we go about it, each person like picks out a couple things that they're most excited for.
Yeah.
I think we should start with.
Give us your Bel'Veth because that's.
Yeah, we should start with Bel'Veth because she is OP and you should be your default assumption, if you're really trying to climb, should be to practice the new champion whenever it comes out, no matter what.
Yeah.
Because, people have there's a track record of success if you jump on the new champion early, and this one is now going to be receiving, I believe, 2 patches in a row with adjustments, nerfs, because she's been so strong. And to me, in playing with and against this champion, she's extremely strong. It's just a better champion of the archetype of like what Master Yi is supposed to feel like.
Yeah.
Where she's technically infinitely scaling.
Yeah.
Where you can continue to gain attack speed. But it's this on-hit attack champion that you also don't want to team fight that much with. You really want to look for some more isolated plays because her 1 versus 1s are extremely strong, or 1 versus 2 if you're going to a lane with someone who has CC. There's so much damage output if you can full clear and scale pretty well. You do want to scale early. But the E, I think, is something that might need to end up getting changed. This is what gives her all her safety.
Yeah.
It is the
70%.
It's the turtle basically where she goes like
Galio
this.
E.
70% generic damage reduction.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
How much time that buys. And so my strategies for, advice for people playing against it, because if you're playing it, then you just want to scale and you become a monster later and you do so much damage. But playing against it, you need to use some sort of interrupt or knockup on that E, or you won't be able to kill this champion. 70% damage reduction is crazy. Plus, the lifesteal and stuff like that. So that's one of the biggest like hurdles to get around is when they time that ability in the team fights, to gain space.
So I've been perma-banning this champion just because of bad experiences.
Yeah.
For that reason.
Smart.
Yeah. I think, and also I'm planning on just like trying to, spend all tomorrow just kind of work on just like clear, because I think the 310 clear is really difficult on the champ from what I've heard.
The what?
People, just trying to get like 3 minutes, 10 seconds.
Oh, really? Her clear has felt great to me, super fast.
That was the thing that I initially heard. So I was like, okay, I need to test it, but I haven't. The one thing that is actually really absurd on this champ is if you just have strong lanes, like mid and top, just strong adjacent lanes, and you go for Rift Herald first, it feels so absurdly annoying to deal with this champ, because then you get
God mode.
You get God mode. You just go to a lane. If you just share minion experience and hit minions, then not only do you have your own voidlings, you have Rift Herald. They cannot touch you. You are just one of the most annoying champs with Rift Herald. So
yeah,
that's something that I think needs to be tuned.
It's weird because Rift Herald already, to me, I felt like had a significantly higher priority than Dragon, and so everybody's focused on first Rift Herald.
Yeah,
and if this champ is in the game, that just goes on red alert. You know, there's sirens going off and stuff, like you say. Because the ultimate, the endless banquet, when you get your longer extended form, plus then you have the pushing power you're talking about, it gets really crazy.
I think it's funny that they called the changes in this patch also a nerf. It was classified as when you slap 50 extra attack range on a champ is like, that's a pretty massive buff. And there were a lot of changes, but like I don't see how you could read these as a nerf.
Well, they took it off. They put it on generic and then took it off of the ultimate. So it's not like generically adding it, but it does move it to easier access.
Well, it's just always there. I would call that a buff. Like you just you don't need to be in your form that you're not in through the early game, which was like her weakest point, and now you just get increased attack range. Like all that's plus like you now get the lavender on large minion kills when you're jungler. It's just you start stacking that up faster and earlier. Like it was a huge buff, I would say this patch was. The tweak, I think it was a buff. What are you making a face about?
I disagree, but
what do you think makes it not a buff?
Let me pull out.
So I would just call it a change. And for me, I haven't played the champion nearly enough to like have the conversation of whether it feels like a buff or a nerf. I agree, having the added range to the champion is going to make it at least better for higher skilled players to abuse that. But the rest of those changes definitely will feel like a nerf. So regardless, I would just see it as a change.
Health regeneration down. Passive stack value increased early, and reaches maximum at level 13, but down later. The E damage was reduced. The lifesteal was reduced.
I mean, she went up a 2% win rate in Diamond Plus from 51 to 53%. You can probably chalk some of that up to Champion Mastery. But
that's why I'm like, I'm reading through them now. I just assume, because it's under nerf.
Yeah, I'm like, if you read these changes, they just buffed her. Yeah. Like, they changed some power around. It's not like they just slapped straight numbers on her. But to not call it an adjustment, to call it a nerf is the trollest thing ever.
That's the big thing.
Well, she needs a nerf. And so I think
they hotfixed her even. I think, didn't they put a hotfix, or is it for the next patch they're targeting her? I thought they hotfixed her.
Well, I'm on the page now, and it'll usually update
at the top. Yeah, so no hotfixes yet.
So no hotfixes.
Yikers.
So yes, I agree with you. When I first saw the graphic, I was like, it absolutely is an adjustment. You can, like, for higher level play, I think it is a buff because people will make use of the added range. And lower level play, I think it's a nerf because people do not kite back or auto at all.
I think it still helps because you just run forward. You're an imbecile.
Yeah. And also you have like 3 dashes. Well, 4 dashes, but if you're
bad, you're gonna mess them up.
Yeah.
I mean, that is one part of skill expression as well. With the champ is getting your dashes correctly.
Another champ that got buffed, actually buffed, by the way. Wait, unless if you have a point that you want to make here, Kobe.
No, I'm just shocked.
You didn't realize what they said on the graphic.
He's like, oh no.
These changes are like they straight buffed her.
The thing I would say also about win rate is that new champions are going to keep.
That's why I said champion mastery will keep.
They're going to keep trending upwards, but
true.
Yeah.
One champ that I was actually really surprised got buffed. Would guess which one it is?
Ivern.
No.
Oh, because I got the Ivern.
Ivern did need buffs.
He needed them, but
Seraphine got buffed.
Oh yes.
Seraphine got buffed.
They already announced the nerfs for next patch.
Thank God. Because the fact that she got buffed here, while she has literally D2 plus 57% win rate, and is already an absurd champion in competitive. Like, I need to watch the games that happened last night, but
they were fun.
Seraphine. CLG found success on Seraphine. Any team that is playing Seraphine right now, albeit...
No, she's going to be permabanned for sure.
It is.
I feel like she's for sure going to be permabanned on this patch.
Right side, have fun.
Yep. So that's something that for this just upcoming patch, Seraphine is just going to get banned. And it might get the Yuumi treatment of, oh, does this team play it or not? if it doesn't, maybe we can get away with not banning it, like, even though it's broken out beyond belief because it's an enchanter. They do play it, then we have to first phase ban it, much like the opponents for CLG. So that's another champ. You're on the Ivern train apparently.
Well, just because he's not good,
He's not good.
I think he.
Explain it.
You can play him, and he does really annoying stuff. And if you're good at Ivern, I think he is good. But I think
That's why they buffed him.
Yeah, but
So
I just think it's a dumb champ.
Yeah.
And so no one puts in the skill to like really get good at him.
Sounds like Yorick.
what?
What are you wetting?
I mean,
He's one of the lowest play rate champs in the game. No one wants to play him, so they have to over.
I play Ivern when he has a good win rate. Jab plays Ivern.
Everyone
That is
will
true.
do it when
People play Ivern.
When he has a good win.
when he's busted, and I think that's what they're basically doing here. Is like, guys, remember this champ exists. Fudge played it once, but you can still pick
This
it.
does not make him busted.
I don't think he's actually
This
busted.
does not
but,
even make him close to busted.
I mean, the Daisy.
This does not even make him close to
A
busted.
little bit hard to kill.
I don't.
He's literally 49% win rate still
I think he's strong.
with these buffs.
I think in the right situation,
I think
competitive,
People,
he's playable.
he had one of the lowest play rates, Mark, when he had a 54% win rate. He's at 59 something now, so
Yeah.
he is not
Yeah,
busted.
he's not.
All right, this one I'm calling BS on.
I just hope they actually don't buff him more. I hate this champ.
He's just sounding the alarm because he sees a champion that he hates getting any sort of love. This is
How-
literally what it
basically.
is.
How
Yeah.
can you hate this champion? It's so funny. Have you ever played it? Like you just go
Yeah.
bounding around
I
the
played it a
jungle with
lot.
your lanky ass, like, hello, Grump, hello, Daisy.
And all of his skins, by the way, are the hilarious thing.
Candy cane,
and
the basketball one. I
one.
use the basketball
it's
one
good.
with chromas.
That one's good.
I actually have a good time playing this champion because it just makes me laugh. When I'm playing him, and it feels good to have a mix up in the jungle. I actually think it is kind of cool to have, the difference where you can actually have a jungle champion where you buy mobility boots. Nobody else. Literally no other jungle is going to go buy mobility boots or you're getting reported.
Yep.
Or people are going to think you're trying to int faster. But Ivern can pick them up, because of the way the passive works on the camps. And like you can set your ring down and still keep on
I hate
moving.
this
And
champ.
This type of stuff I think is, it's fun. Yeah, I don't want him to be OP, but he definitely needed buffs to even be attempted to play because he was definitely
Leave
in the dog
him in the
tier.
trash can with all the other dog.
Mark
my
hates
God.
Ivern.
Wow.
Mark hates pacifism.
Ivern
I love
Man
Amumu
does-
getting buffs. I hate Ivern
The
getting
man
buffs.
does not like the environment, is what I've just learned right now. He wants the tree to burn. Is that what you're
inside.
saying? Okay.
Yeah, I generally am like anti-enchanter, but I think he's pretty funny and fun and different to play. So I'm glad they buffed him. I don't think it puts him anywhere near me playing him. I'm usually a win rate player nowadays because I've been playing
All-a-days?
I've been playing the game for so long. I don't care which champion I play really. 'Cause I've played them all before.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm gonna specialize in something now. So I just go by top of the win rates, and he's not top.
There it is. He knows.
Tragic.
I guess for pro play, probably the Viego
Yeah.
nerfs are one of the most pertinent. Is going to drop him. I think he's still playable, but it was a pretty good hit. Good little swing at Viego.
It was a decent hit. I think his issue will always be his kit, just typical. And the fact that you can play him in any composition.
Yeah.
And in competitive play, that's just like perfect. Like, who are you first picking? Wukong. Who's decent into Wukong? Viego. So like, unless if there are other changes, and also he is so flexible that even his build path, being either Kraken Slayer or I'm trying to remember. Yeah, or Sunderer. Like, depending on the situation, if he needs to be tankier, if he needs to face check a little bit more, then yeah, you'll go Sunderer. And I feel like he will survive this change pretty easily.
I really like where they targeted the nerfs at too.
Yeah.
At the frustrating reset pentakill, basically play pattern for the champion, nerfing the damage for R and the heal that you get when you take a soul possession. So
Here's my suggested.
I'm happy with it.
Here's my suggested nerf, and I know no one listens to me.
Yep.
Remove
You're right about the
unstoppability on
last
his
one.
ultimate. I swear to God,
Okay.
it's insane hidden power that no one this is like the most broken part One
Wait,
of them.
what was it again?
Remove the unstoppability on his ultimate, because the problem is if he mispositions in early jungle invades or like post 6 jungle invades and stuff, like he can just ult out of any bad situation because you can't guaranteed lock him down.
It's like a 2-minute cooldown for rank 1.
I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's in pro play where pace is slower. Things like this, I'm not even kidding. I know you're laughing, but things like this actually add so much hidden power to a champion because you can buffer out of bad situations and just get out where other champs die. And you also can't stop him in team fights when he starts ulti resetting because you can't lock him down properly because it's unstoppable.
I'm going to say, from experience of playing champions like this where you can interrupt them, it'll feel like dog shit to play Viego.
Yeah.
Great. Learn when to press your R button then,
If your
idiot, like
ultimate
every other champ.
can be interrupted by any number of basic abilities, it always is going to piss that player off so much.
That's
so
literally
much
how
more.
every other champ works.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. No, most champs
every other champion.
Most champions' ultimates don't get free unstoppability on them when they have displacements built in.
Warwick gets interrupted on his ultimate by basic abilities.
Yeah.
And
that's exactly my
look
point.
At
Why
the play rate of this champion.
Okay, yeah. You want him to
that's
be
a bad. That's a bad. You don't want that to be your example.
No,
because
it is. It's BS that you can just ult out of things. There's so many champions where you don't get unstoppability. And when you put it on a champion, you're allowed to do things to get out of situations because they don't want counterplay. Because God forbid you press your ult after they've used their CC.
Well, I think you're focusing too much on the ulti that has a pretty large cooldown and not so like every part of his kit basically outside of his Q is a way to escape. Like his E gives him invisibility and movement speed bonuses. His W, of course, if you're caught off guard, you can use that along. And technically, this change, thankfully, one of the nerfs is that you can't just automatically
stealth.
Yeah. So like, there's a few things like that, but I don't think that's what makes him like. Well, that will make him a bad champion, but also just a champion that's unfun to play. And you definitely don't want that.
Like if you don't want to be able to escape, Mark, then just make it his ult only targetable on champions and not be able to ground target. That's a way better, I feel like, way of making him taking away his safety of it being able to escape without making him feel like dog shit to play. Because if your ult is if Gragas body slams you out of your ultimate, like this champ is actually just gonna be so frustrating to play.
Yeah,
that's how a lot of champs are. That's why a lot of assassins are bad and he's good, is because he has this built into his kit.
I think we'll leave that.
I don't trust you, Mark. You have not played this game in so long.
I have
things like this are so insanely frustrating.
They start tacking it onto every new champion kit that's melee because they have this problem where the ultimates can get interrupted and they slap
What
this
about
on.
my compromise of having the ultimate not be ground targeted?
Nah.
You have to use it on a champion.
Nah.
Wow, this man is.
It's what they did to Galio. Remember when Galio's
All right,
W?
we have to agree to disagree.
This man is the worst.
Remember when Galio's W was unstoppable, and if you stunned him out during it, it would still go off, and that was absolutely
that's
busted.
a basic ability.
Yeah, and it was absolutely busted, and they had to take it out. I think things like this are more toxic than they realize, and it makes it hard to balance.
We're gonna have
Everybody
to agree to disagree.
I hate hidden power.
At
It's
Mark,
not hidden.
I mean, I agree. It's
whether
not
you
hidden.
like his take or not, at Mark. That's what I love to see.
Let's talk about it.
All Viego players unite against him, basically.
I hate Viego players. Let that be known too.
my
Hate
God.
Ivern, hate Viego.
Oh no!
Only
See, you
champs
shouldn't
you
have
should be
said
playing
that.
are Mumu.
You shouldn't have said that. It's debatable. Like whenever it comes to champions like Viego, or I mean, Viego's a widely played champion, but he's also like hits the edgy community a lot.
I mean,
as well.
like the Yasuo, Yone, Viego
Yes.
community.
So he hits that very easily. So you've just angered the masses. That's debatably worse than the TSM hate.
Udyr, Amumu. If you didn't come out in season 1, I don't want to know you.
Oh, here we go.
His ult has a giant cooldown. It's fine if he has that.
Put some cooldown back in it then. I don't care if it's
We're
more
gonna leave
punishable.
that one in the
You
draft.
can balance other levers. I'm not saying just completely remove this and do no other nerfs. You can balance it otherwise, but I think this is one of the problems with him.
All right, we agreed to disagree.
We have gone on long enough about
Exactly.
patch notes.
Do you guys care? You want to touch on Zeri and Yuumi?
Nah.
Okay.
There's plenty of changes.
Yeah, those are self-explanatory,
Yeah.
and I think they're generally good. So,
Yep.
all right, into the LCS then, shall we?
I'm ready.
Shall we
do it.
dive right
Hit
in?
me with it.
Anything notable from week 1 that you get, or week 2, excuse me, that you guys want to talk about? TSM TL?
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe the biggest upset in TSM taking down Team Liquid. I feel like that one, from last split being the second worst team. Of course, they made changes, considerable changes with Maple and Mia, to now taking down Team Liquid, and what felt like a really straightforward win. And I feel like, okay, a win for TSM was coming, like a solid win this split. It felt like the loss to 100 Thieves definitely shouldn't have been the case in the first week, right? They had a really monstrous lead through Spica and Maple. Like, it felt like they were also setting up properly around objectives, and they got picked twice. But like, this, for me, really gives TSM fans and League fans in general hope for the organization in the direction that they're going in. Especially with all the questions that people threw in the direction of like Maple as an acquisition. What does that mean for this team? Oh, is Spica like washed? Oh, was his MVP deserved? I feel like all of those questions when TSM literally faltered for one split. Like one split of them eating it. And now it's like starting to be a race, which is nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, Spica's definitely playing well. I liked his interview where he was talking about playing with Maple as well.
Yeah,
incorporating Maple, some of the changes. Mia had a really good Renata game.
Yeah, that's probably the best Renata game, at least in LCS I've seen.
Yeah, insanely good performance there. Playing against Team Liquid and getting that win, I think is actually really, really huge for them.
Yeah,
especially Tactical, who's such does a lot with confidence. People just repeat this over and over and over. How he kind of fluctuates so much on his confidence and how he's feeling, and it translates into his play. So maybe TSM can rally, and like build up some momentum here off a pretty big win.
Yeah, same with Huni. Is someone who your eye gets drawn up to the top lane either because like he's popping off or he's getting crushed. Mm-hmm. And to have like a pretty quiet game where he was just silently winning mostly in the top side matchup, you're like, oh, that's weird for him, but actually really good sign.
Yeah, especially because, Gnar into Olaf, and like you're expecting, all right, so, Olaf is post level 6 now with Ghost, like ready to go all in. We're ready to see mini Gnar get chased down or whatever.
Never.
And and Huni's like, shh.
I have 4 turret.
Exactly. Shh, go to sleep. Go to sleep, Whippo. Go to sleep. And he just takes top tower, Trinity Force Gnar. Yeah. He's just,
the other thing, though, was they then dropped the game to Golden Guardians.
Yeah, but so...
It was sad that came right after, too, because you're like, woo!
I'm willing to forgive it, though.
Why?
I'm willing to forgive when a team just radically ints the draft. I know that the players, and even I even saw a tweet from K's, like people on the organization also said, okay, yeah, this is
oops. They said, oops.
Yeah, whoops. It's like, whoops. But it was literally one of those games where you see it in scrims, I'm sure, like, and also when you see it on stage, you're like, okay, so we have no win condition. We can't out team fight them. Like, we don't have DPS versus Mundo, basically, and you would be, okay, maybe you can dive him. They had one window where they could dive bot, but he would have to sacrifice his top camps to do that. And after that, it's like, okay, now you have to, if you're a Volibear, which lane are you choosing? Which side lane? Are you going to be trying to gank or dive the Fiora lane, or are you going to be ganking or diving the Mundo lane? Both of which you're probably going to get buffed, like just completely curb stomped if they're not in a low enough HP value. So that one was a really tough game to watch just because they got, like, Golden Guardians got through the early game. So therefore you have no windows in unless if they just hard troll it. So that's why I forgive it. I give him the Pope's pardon.
Pope Raz.
You can scrub that lock.
You guys
they're
are forgiven.
2-2. They played 5 games and they're 2-2.
They have to come confess it to you, though.
There it is, exactly. They had to confess their demons.
I think Spica's tweet, "What the hell was this draft?" Is
if that was a confession. There you go. You should accept that one.
Yeah.
I'm excited to track where they go. We already talked about this. Actually, we can talk about the other side.
I want to talk about the other side.
Yeah, I was going to say, we can talk about the other side because already we kind of preface week 2 with, okay, the week 1 success of Team Liquid, strength of schedule, keep that in mind. Everyone, don't go crazy, with how great they looked. And it was exactly that immediately in week 2, where they definitely had a lot of struggles. And there were tweets coming out from the Team Liquid organization like, oh, yeah, this is a good early wake-up call. We need to take this back, redouble our practice efforts, take this as like a sobering moment to, get serious again. But what's your take, Mark? Already getting some Yeah.
Like,
Don't like the taste.
That was the gnar noise of
yeah. I mean, they should have gone 0-2 this week if you want to lump the FlyQuest game in with this performance. Where
Yeah.
they were getting picked apart. There was just deaths in every lane, left and right. I mean, Twitch, you can debate how strong he is right now, and he got ahead of the pace of the game, and things that made it difficult to play that game out. But they should have lost. Santorin talked about how they should have lost. It didn't feel like a good win to them as an org either. So, like, this was a weekend where they could have gone 0-2, and in the leading up to the season was like, I want to see Team Liquid be dominant. I want to see them play angry. They spent so much on this roster, and like, I don't want them to be the same Team Liquid they've been for the last 2 years, where they spend a ton of money, they make some finals but don't win anything or something, then they go to Worlds 3-3 and out.
Yeah.
And week 1 was like, yes, this is what I wanted to see, and this is like right back to like, oh, and then to be like, oh, well, we got this sobering lesson. I'm like, did you need it? Like, really?
Yeah.
Did you really need that lesson to like lose?
They were drunk off week 1 already.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
The
this is about
3-0.
the fans. They know better. Like they just played bad. So I don't know. I'm not gonna write them off. Obviously, like the same way. Don't get too hyped off on week 1. Don't like sell your Team Liquid stocks in week 2. But it's still disappointing for what like I want to be a dominant team.
Yeah, especially since they came out and said exactly how they were going to play the game, or at least like what their lessons were from Spring Split. And starting off where the first week was great. Second week, of course, as you already mentioned, was ass. But and a lot of it came to, I think they were trying to be really cutesy in the draft, like the Ezreal Bard answer to the popular now Kalista Renata combo is something that conceptually makes sense. Like you outrange them, you can Bard ulti in general, like just being more of a nuisance around other lanes if you're trying to roam, that we saw, I want to say last year in playoffs. I mean, it just didn't work at all. So like, at least they made the attempt, but it was probably off of just like confirmation bias in scrims where you're just winning every game with it regardless.
And it was kind of counterintuitive, giving the statements that they made about wanting to play super aggressive early and especially around bottom lane, and have that kind of take on the meta, to then be like, all right, you can have Kalista Renata, so you're gonna have bot pushing Prio, and then TSM did a really good job. Yeah, would push up bottom, rotate over to Rift Herald, start pushing the macro choices in their favor, and it kind of took away that lever for Team Liquid, where it's like, all right, I'm so ready for Core JJ Bard though. Like, when's the big moment gonna hit? And it never really hit. But the theory behind Ezreal Bard I do like, because even if the other team does rotate and get the Herald, then you're supposed to be able to have Bard wherever, match wherever the Herald's going to be put, and so you can just nullify it, and then outscale the Kalista.
Outrange and be able to kite back. I think the Zoe definitely stopped that from happening, because now your Ezreal is getting outranged by, I mean, actually, not only is Azir going to have a tough time in that respect, but Ezreal for sure is going to, so the entire point of the comp is kind of muted. So
and the top side, like they still played how they said that they would play, but with a draft that doesn't want to play that way. They ganked bot lane like 4 times, and they did kill Tactical a handful of times, but they never actually ganked top. Which with your 5th pick counter pick Olaf into Gnar, you're like, great, the Bard roams up there with the Volley Bear. Didn't do it really. So it was just a stinker of a game out of Team Liquid.
Well, yeah, I guess that's one of the big pieces that did not fit into place, because it is supposed to be a counter pick based on kill pressure on Mini Gnar. Post level 6 for Ghost Olaf. And that just never materialized. Whipple, they lost the top tower. They lost all these turret plates. Even the coordination, though, as a team, has nothing to do with any of the earlier setup. The one where like he's coming from mid, runs right into the
tries to run through the choke point,
gets killed, and then the rest of the Team Liquid are alive, and they're like, "Oh, what's up now?" And then they all like try and get through mid lane back towards their base through this Renata ultimate. And they all just jump into and get tagged by this slow moving Renata ult, and you're like, "What is happening right now?" Everything is on fire for Team Liquid. It just feels like their coordination as a team was one of these things too. So it's not even like, oh yeah, the early game plan, and how they play each one of these individual lanes.
What team?
Sobering moment.
You know what team I'm excited for though? People, they didn't sell them down the track, but they were overly concerned about Cloud9. Like Cloud9 as a team had a really
They
good
did have them.
Are you not still concerned a little?
No.
Well,
Okay.
Because the one thing I was concerned about, look, it's a long split, 8 weeks, at least in the regular season. I had to look at that because, sometimes you have 9. But the one concern I had was about Berserker and Sven. Like, how would Sven actually perform in a new role, learning new matchups and new champions, especially the intent, if I remember, was like, that he would be coming in as a strong voice, knowing when to engage. Oh, it's Enchanter meta. So, like, completely different. But I was watching his champ skew. He was playing really well. And then I was seeing his first game, which was a really tough one. Like, it was a win. It was a tough win versus Dignitas.
His TK was good, though.
His TK was really good. I felt like he was timing his ultis really well. Like, the fights themselves were just bad. But in terms of how he was playing his individual champ in the matchups, I thought he was good. And then going into the next game, C9 just looked much better. Kind of what we had expected out of this team of Fudge, Blabber, and Jensen being their strong points was the case. And now it kind of calls into question, like, how fast-tracked is this team? Because the one thing that I thought would take time was their bot lane. Something everyone was saying that when Sven had the interview, I was like, yeah, his Berserker has the difficulties with English. Even when you're streaming, you can see him, like, the way he communicates with chat is with Google Translate. So then...
I like Sven's interview where he was talking about it. He was like, yeah, I talk really fast sometimes. I'm hard to understand.
I have an accent.
So,
yeah. And exactly. But it's working. It's working so far.
I think they still have a long way to go.
Yes.
I power rank them 3rd. So I
Yes.
definitely see, where they're going to end up.
Yes.
I definitely think they have a lot to work on still.
And it's week 2, and they
Yeah.
just started scrimming together because Berserker is back.
They're doomed.
So, like, I expected week 5 to be the point in which they were starting to be at the form in which we expect out of them.
Yeah, I still expect that. I don't think they're. Yeah, I think they still have a lot to clean up.
Yes, I'm not saying that they're there yet.
Yeah.
I'm saying that the fact that they are much faster along than I expected them to be, especially with the issues, is like, okay, C9 is a real contender, and is already, like, taking down 100 Thieves.
I think I'm a little bit more on the Kobe side about, like, not quite being satisfied, but because, like, CLG kind of has their spot right now in like the top, and TL and EG I think still look better, even though TL obviously.
So, in power ranking them 3rd, like, I knew I was
There's a
going to
ramp.
take a slow. Exactly, I
Yeah.
knew it was going to be super slow early.
Yeah.
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 And we are in that ramp up phase,
Yeah.
I think. It's just that I don't think they're ahead of schedule. Like, the almost dropping a game to Dig thing. They did immediately beat 100 Thieves, who they're kind of in contention for in most people's minds for the world spot. So that was good, at least in the heads up way. But I also think, like, 100 Thieves has not been as... I've been very whelmed by 100 Thieves.
Bit whelmed. Yeah.
Bit whelmed, so that was like...
It takes a lot to whelm Mark, though.
No, it
so.
doesn't. I get easily
doesn't?
whelmed. Yeah.
The problem is
Just
that
mention
everything
Ivern or
whelmed.
Viego, and he's gonna get
Teething.
I'm overwhelmed.
I just think that, like, that win was good, but I want to, like, the fact that it came right after that Dig game where things were not going well was... I don't know. There's still just more to do. There's still more work to do, and I think they would say the same thing.
Yeah, of course, and they know it too because they haven't gotten any practice. They had all these visa issues, and even beyond not having Sven and Berserker for week 1, they also lost so much scrim time and practice time. They couldn't have everybody over in Korea. They never even got
Fudge isn't
everybody
on stage, by the
Oh,
way.
yeah, and
they literally Blabber. I was talking about Blabber, and, like, even when they were doing their boot camp, like, they never had the full squad.
Yeah, Darshan was playing apparently a little bit.
Yeah, to even start. So
Yes.
it's a long road. I think they're correctly along the path, and it will be up and to the right.
I already think right now they're a top 4 team. I think the what's it called, of course, based off the standings, it doesn't show that. But I think the level of play that they're exhibiting right now, albeit at times inconsistent, is there. People will talk about the draft, but, like, the draft wildly changed, as you would expect, from week 1 to week 2 when you literally have different players who have different strengths. Berserker, of course, being far more team fight oriented, and the fact that he has, like, his Aphelios that is always a pick that he can go back to. So I and also, like, how Sven sees the game. So I do think that the drafting issues that people had is not going to be there, and now they have the practice. So we'll see. We'll see where they end up going. I'm excited for the next week because of that reason. I think the next few matchups, I'm sure we'll talk about it soon enough, is going to be illuminating.
Yeah. So we touch on the sad one.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Real quick,
Break
though.
the news.
And we got an interesting question on Immortals.
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to talk about the Immortals versus Dig game because it was.
Both their games are not good. The
Yeah.
one against EG was also not good.
But we did get a good question.
Yeah.
Because I tweeted out asking for questions for the dive, and the beer connoisseur at Mills Brett asked us, can rookies actually develop on bad teams, or does it just kill their careers? Because Immortals is this team that they've been very outspoken and rebuilt around revenge.
Yeah.
But continue to be at the bottom of the standings here for a few splits in a row. What's your take on this? Because I have talked to so many rookies and academy players that are scared to make the jump from academy to one of the bottom LCS teams because they do have a fear of it ruining their career because the optics will be bad because you're going to be on a losing team. You're going to lose as one player.
Yeah.
And it's going to be more difficult for you to make your name as a new entry into the space.
So I think it's literally both. And the sad reality is, like, you are going to develop because you're playing against better competition consistently. And in this case, if we're talking about Immortals, you're going to be looking at Kenvi. You have the strongest jungle pool, I feel like in LCS history. I mean, I can look back at it, but it's really
We've always had good junglers. I feel like
every split is the best jungle split ever.
We've always had some.
Is that
good
a new
ones.
one? So, like, yes, you're going to develop because you have a lot more VODs. You're going to be competing against a lot of LCS teams on stage, but also in scrims, and you're going to get a lay of the land. They're going to be certain. You're going to maybe come to bad conclusions depending on your coaching staff and the players around you if they're giving bad advice or saying, "Oh, I couldn't help" or whatever. Well, all these things. Maybe that's the case, right? And maybe you can develop wrong habits based off that. That's a concern. But I think for the most part, on your personal, individual self-improvement angle, yes, you're developing, but the worst thing, and this needs to end, and there are only a few teams that have actual good scouts and people who can assess talent, is he's on a bad team, not playing well, because they're not going to care about it. You got 10th place, you're a 10th place jungler. That's the worst, because that does kill a career. If your track record, your only track record is coming into the LCS and then getting booty blasted. like that, I think needs to be addressed.
I think the flip side of that is if you're playing well or if you're on a good team, people just assume you're playing well and you have these skill sets and they don't know that, like, well, you're just playing with prio and, like, you don't really need to deal with the struggles that you might need to if you're on a mid place or low place team.
Yeah.
There's the flip side is easily true. There's a lot of players who come into the scene, do all right on a high tier team, and then a lower tier team snatches them up somehow, and then they don't do the same level. What happened?
Yeah.
So I think it goes both ways, but I do think it is dangerous for young players, and I feel bad for them.
See, I really hope that we can kind of massage those dangers to make them not so scary that we get a situation like this where there are a lot of academy players that don't want to make a jump to one of the worst teams.
Yeah.
Because ideal world, of course, it is always going to be better to be on the best team with the best players to be able to teach you the best, tactics. And like, okay, yes, I always want, if I'm an AD carry player, to, be paired with Core JJ or something, right?
Yeah.
But that is there's only one person that gets to do that. And it's really going to harm the overall ecosystem, both leagues, if there is a fearful jump from, academy to a large swath of the bottom LCS team. So ideal world, you're still going to get benefits out of jumping to the LCS. Like you're saying, you're going to be practicing and playing against the best. Even if you don't scrim them, top teams sometimes don't scrim the bottom teams.
Yeah.
You'll get your stage games versus them.
Exactly.
And you'll get something. And so, people, like you're saying, do need to take that into account when judging new talent. So we kind of wash away some of this very stark, like, your first impression is your only impression. Like you're a thumbs up or thumbs down right at the beginning. Because I'm very happy that Kenvi decided and actually wanted to join Immortals, even though they were one of the bottom standing teams, because he wanted to work with the coaching staff and he wanted to work with the players. And I'm happy that he's doing it. Yes, it is not going well.
Yeah.
But I don't want that occurrence, to not happen because people are just scared about reactions.
To throw some on for any prospective academy players listening or whatever, like one, people, it's not make or break for your career no matter what. Even in the worst possible scenario, like you're not fully out of the league just because you are on a dumpster fire team for a split or two. Like, no one's actually lost their career over a bad showing. So like that's hyperbole. Maybe it sets your career back and that feels terrible. That does happen, but it's definitely not the end of the road. The other thing is it does work sometimes. CLG is a team of 5 academy players. They were not a good org last year, and in spring they were not a good team. And it was Poom and Luger from academy. Contractz was technically playing on EG, but was a substitute player. Palafox, I believe it was actually coming from FlyQuest.
Yes.
He came up through the academy system, and now Dhokla and Jenkins as well have been swapped around. And it's worked so far, and people are starting to pay attention after writing a lot of them off. And I think it's a risk to join a lower tier team, but it might work out as well.
And another thing on top of that, are those players, a few of those players, were in bad situations. Like Poom was in a bad situation when he was in 100 Thieves, when they were like having a rough time. He was kind of thrown in. And like, it was like, damn, what happened to my reputation? But he's back in. Palafox on FlyQuest was on a team in which they were just cycling through players on academy, fully putting in their academy team. And at that time, it looked bad for him. But people internally, thankfully,
he was not happy. By the way, I talked to him
when Triple came in and all that.
Behind afterwards, too. I really like this point though. So keep going, because all of these CLG players none of them have been instantly transplanted onto the best team. They've all had to work for it. They've all bounced in and out. Contractz, we talked about the long history there. Dhokla, the long history there as well. Optic, he had to bounce back down.
Exactly.
All of them have had to grind out the work.
And I do think the league is getting put in a better position because there are teams that are, CLG, people will forget it because now they're killing it. We're at the bottom of the table. And it looked really bad. You didn't want to join a CLG.
I'm never forgetting that. It's too fresh. It's still too fresh.
You didn't want to join a CLG because what does that mean for your career holistically, right? Now, like, they put in positional coaches. That if you come in as a developing player, same with Golden Guardians that did that as well, where if you're coming in, the whole purpose is to develop your craft, and that's what we're eyeing. Like, if you get put into the academy, like Jenkins did for CLG right now, it's not doom and gloom because you're still being tracked by your academy coach and staff. Like, they're both linked, and I think that makes it so much better for teams that are struggling when you feel like there is a connection between your academy and your LCS team, that it's not, oh, I've been thrown into academy and no one will see me. But if your org sees you, if people who are on other teams are scouting you and are competent at their jobs, it's not over. And that makes it so much easier for players to recognize that what may be a bad split or a bad situation now will not be bad, in the future, in the next split, as long as you have a strong mentality and are developing.
I remembered something as we were talking about CLG being hot. This is just a small tangent, but remember last year when your spring split record carried over your summer split record? I don't want to we're not going back to that.
We're not going back.
We're never going back.
We're not going back to it. But God, what an awful decision! I imagine CLG's story right now sitting at 10 and 13. No one would give a rat's ass about them. It was such a bad decision. Thank God that's gone, because now with this one change, they're legitimately playing well, but people would just look at that record and be like, oh, well, see, it's just the beginning of the season, blah, blah, blah. Dhokla couldn't have changed them that much, but now that they're 4-1, it's a lot,
It made everything so much less exciting, because it just
And the reason for it, too, spring split always gets better viewership than summer. Why are you making spring matter more and then deflating summer, which already, I don't know. Well, nothing about it made sense.
I think the community, a lot of times, reactions like these can happen because people will latch onto ideas of, okay, spring split doesn't matter. And I know,
it's like some random pros saying it. Just look at the viewership trends. Don't listen to random pros.
Yeah, without going into that big of a topic, it's just I'm glad we're in a position right now where if you make changes from one split to another, or even if the teams themselves
players
are like,
just do better.
Yeah, if the players like CLG are really confident in their own ability, is like, hey, let's not remember that. Let's move forward. Let's actually focus on the next split, and it's a new chapter. That in and of itself is really refreshing, as being able to start on a new slate, and we're getting to see that CLG are a contender.
All right.
For that reason, I will not heat that jalapeno. I'm in a good spot. No, it was a habanero. because I had them in the on the bet.
saw
Oh,
on
you made
broadcast.
another bet?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we made a bet on
It was
broadcast.
me, Fly, and Jat was TSM, I guess. He's
Yeah.
TSM Jat.
Yeah,
Okay.
TSM
What,
bet.
what,
I was TLG.
What's
Who's
the
the
bet?
fifth team in the top 5? He
Yeah.
said CLG, I said Fly, and Jat said TSM.
Yeah, it's right back to the habaneros. So.
Good man. Did any of you power rank them high at the beginning, or?
No,
I put Fly 5th. I'm keeping him 5th.
Okay.
We didn't talk about them a ton, but I think they're legitimately like decent. Not like top of the table, but they could have beat TL. They should have beat TL. They threw that game very badly.
Yeah.
And then the other game that they won against CLG was a bit of a like whoopsies by CLG, but I think Johnson's Twitch is actually crazy good.
Yes.
Like he really knows that champion better than anyone else in the LCS at least right now. Like there's maybe better individual players in the like 80 carry position, but he actually pilots Twitch really well and keeps killing people in side lanes and stuff.
Yeah. I
yeah.
I want to hear your take on this one because I think coming into this split, FlyQuest was the only team that I had pegged that had a downgrade based off of like with the whole Philip situation, but he's actually looking he's looking good.
I actually love Philip. Yeah,
Yeah, he's
I
looking
think
good.
Philip is great. You know, especially because it's one of these cases where they're really trying to build. Build with him. I've been watching him in Champs Q too. He's definitely a grinder. He puts in the work. So I actually, you know, was pretty positive.
I'm waiting for the
on
butt.
FlyQuest.
I'm waiting.
You're wrong.
I mean, I'm
because-
specifically a detractor from Twitch Yumi.
Yeah.
That is definitely a very frustrating
He
combination.
didn't have Yumi in the TL game. I guess that's why they lost.
Yeah.
It is. No, but Twitch is great versus
But
Larry.
yeah, they have done a good job of funneling money into the Twitch and getting to the Fed, you know, late game Twitch, you know, popping when you have to have good positioning but popping your R and being able to, you know, melt everybody late game. I feel like FlyQuest should have been able to keep their success from last split though. I feel like they were better. They did perform, or they at least placed better than last split.
Not in the last 5 weeks though. They were trending down. Other teams around them were getting much better, and they had
they did
strong
have
starter.
that bump at the beginning
Yeah.
where they got a big bump out of like roaming top.
Yeah.
Meta were fully embracing the Janna roaming around.
We will remember you, Kuno.
But yeah, I feel like they're one of the like even keel kind of middle-ish ones for me. So I guess I don't have super strong feelings either way.
Yeah.
No, I think that's what makes the LCS fun right now is that between them, CLG, and TSM, you can actually debate it. And even like I don't personally really believe in Golden Guardians, but at least like record-wise, you can throw them in there as a team that you're like, how good are they in that kind of 5th through 8th position?
And that's the thing about Golden Guardians. I'm not going to get into them, but like with this team is that they will surprise you in a week. Like the draft that they had versus TSM that they were able to take down. I think they're a smart team about how, like just in general drafting and being more willing to play enchanters at times as well. In this case, it was Ole's
The Mundo Enchanter.
Well, this one, okay, he was playing off of Senna, but I don't know if you've caught his specifically his champs queue games, where if he roll swaps top lane for him because there's not a lot of top laners in the queue, he's like, all right, guys, I'm playing Mundo.
Yeah, or he plays Tom Kench or something. It's always some like big meatball.
Yes.
So I've seen a lot of the champs queue games where he roll swaps top and does not do that well.
I think most of them, from what I've seen, it was not. He's trying to get games
he
out.
like holds his own, and then he's a tank for the team.
Yes.
Later, generally he'll pick tank champions though.
Yeah.
He's just doing that so he can obviously they can get champs
We
games
need
going
games, top
because there
laners.
aren't enough top laners or whatever. But I love the pairing other things with Senna down in the bottom lane and being able to have more exciting options besides just Senna TK.
Wukong flex to support when.
Classic things. Yeah. And then I look at LCK and I'm like, oh my God, Lehens is pulling out his Singe and stuff,
Yeah.
and they've got like all these, crazy
Support Ashe with Seraphine.
They take it further. When you've got
Imperial Mandate?
Lehens and like Carria in your league as far as support, you're gonna get a lot of picks.
Yes.
Camille support, Elise support, all this stuff. So hopefully we start to get that level of spice.
Some of
as
that
well.
sauce, please.
But yeah, not every team's gonna be able to have Lehens. Rank 1 on the Korean ladder.
Why
with
not?
Support Singe and Elise and stuff.
All right. You want to go look ahead to the week, or is there another team you want to hit?
No, I was going to try to actually bounce off of when we were talking about CLG so much and their story. You're saying you believe already CLG are a top contender for sure?
Yeah, top 5 team. Or top 5.
We're putting it to the test this weekend.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
They just beat Evil Geniuses.
Uh-oh.
And then they also are going to play Team Liquid and Cloud9.
Yes.
So looking at the organizations, those are definitely, all top 4 teams right there. So CLG have a big test.
Yes.
I'm looking at both of CLG's games this weekend it's probably going to be this pendulum of believers and faith versus the non-believers and the naysayers, and everyone's just going to try and flame each other and make fun of each other. This is where we got to
put a stop to extremists here, because I do not want to see. I'm already.
Why? It's fun.
Quote me this.
It's
quote me on this.
Just join.
I don't want to see if they lose to both Team Liquid and C9, who I peg to be better than them. Yeah, I don't want to see that.
Well,
Stop it. You're egging the fans on.
But it'll be so fun if on Saturday they beat Cloud9 and everyone's like, yeah, we keep going to BDG, they beat Cloud9, and then they lose to Team Liquid. Is it going to swing back and everyone's like, oh, you're an idiot. No, you're an idiot.
So on the not being extreme overreaction thing,
yes,
the 0-2 wouldn't matter to me. It's how they look. If they come out and get just steamrolled by 2 of the top teams in the league, it will, I think, for good reason, throw a wrench in the hype.
But they already did that versus EG. Versus EG, they had a lead.
But what have you done for me lately?
Nexus defense, a week ago, I don't care about that.
Okay, they lost the lead. That happens, in a contested way. But that was a really exciting game, mostly because they got Soul. It was a useless Soul, sadly. Rest in peace, Cloud. But and they sacrificed top lane, lost Baron, like that. Okay, then it becomes a really muddy game. But it always people who are labeling them as the cheeser team with Seraphine and all that, they need this to win. So far from the truth, their macro is actually good.
They are just also that then point from they're cheesers. That point changes and morphs into, they're just smart. They had a good take on the meta. Yeah. Oh, they saw a good pick. Wow. Oh, they were the only ones playing Seraphine. Whoa. And then everybody else is like, oh my God, Seraphine is broken. And then they even see the buff come out and everyone's like, oh my God, CLG knew. And they were the ones to use it early and adapting early. And you're like, oh, I guess they are. It's kind of smart. I'm, for one, I'm just super happy that this is a conversation that we get to have 5 top teams of having so many competitive games.
Yeah.
If you load up any game with Evil Geniuses, Team Liquid, 100 Thieves, Cloud9, CLG, any of those matchups from any of them is going to be fun. I want 1 2 now.
You know why I put this on my head? This is me being the other teams that's not a Seraphine picker. You might think this is a birthday cap. I think this is a dunce cap.
Yeah. All right, well, we can all be dunces there. But mine blends into the background, so you can only kind of see it.
Oh,
true.
So
also, I have the CLG colors. We've got to swap these around a little bit.
There it is.
No green ones for FlyQuest, is there?
There's a green one here. I'm throwing it your way.
I'll do
Anyways, I think I agree, though, about the point that there's literally...
I want one more.
Get him
balance. I need one more to balance.
While you do that, looking at the schedule, almost all the games are good. I think TSMEG is obviously a banger. 100th ECL, obviously a banger. CLG C9, obviously a banger. As someone who wants to believe in Fly and watch what they do, them versus Dig is interesting to me. Golden Gardens Immortals is probably the only one on the schedule that I'm not super hyped about.
Yeah.
But
I want to believe in Fly too.
Yeah.
I love Afromu.
I love Afromu. I think Toucouille.
Jose.
Toucouille.
Took nasty.
Nasty.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk.
Taken starring Liam Neeson.
I'm going to call a break so that we can talk about the Toucouille pronunciation and all of the backstory. Because I loved the FlyQuest content that they put out.
Yes.
About the pronunciation of his name. And it has really funny. It was way more funny for all of us that were watching in the caster green room, because there was so much discussion about how to pronounce it early.
Yes.
And Azael reached out to Zabutine and was so adamant about Toucouille.
Yes,
which is one of the ones that they reference in their FlyQuest video.
Toucouille.
Yeah. That everybody was like, oh my God. So, it is like Ratatouille. It should be Toucouille.
I knew it was phonetically like Ratatouille. I just can't say that well. So anytime I say Toucouille, I'm trying to do the we, because they say don't put the emphasis on the we part. You put it on the Toucouille.
Yeah.
But like I'm just bad at that.
I think it's because for like California or even
I don't know, just
your East
American.
Coast,
American brains.
Yeah, a little.
Except for people in Louisiana.
when we say that sound of the ratatouille, it's when they say it's like one less syllable, so they like chop it down. So it's still the same like ooey, but it's like chopped down more.
Toucouille.
I was so
and
confused. No, I swear to God, by the way, week one,
Anyway.
last split, I was so confused because listening to the Laura interviews, because she had about 2 interviews with Toucouille, and that was how she was saying it. So I was like, okay, all right, I've listened to the casters, I listened to it. And then I hear Toucouille is like reliable source. I was like, oh no, which one is it? I'm going to just commit.
It was not, turns out it was not a reliable source.
Azrael's going to watch this video and come out of the woodwork and be like, that's not what happened.
Yeah, he's so pissed right now.
I think he will say, yeah, I talked to Zabuzine. That's what he told me. So
All right.
There was no one being thrown under the bus. I felt like Kobe gave it its due. But
I like that your horn is just getting lower and lower.
yeah, it's not looking good, guys. I'm taking
It's going to become a beak soon.
He's a unicorn.
It was a beak for a while.
That messes up your audio, though.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk like this.
All right. We have one more question
Okay,
from the
go for it.
community before we totally derail.
Okay.
Trevor Jones, Trevor the Runer.
Nice name.
What change in game needs to happen to make these early games a bit more enticing to watch? This sparked a conversation between Kobe and I about if he meant exciting or enticing.
yeah.
My God.
If you want to make the early game more enticing to watch,
I had a great suggestion of just making all the drop rewards happen in the first 15 minutes of the game.
and you're enticed in.
Then
I
you
see
want to
it.
watch
Oh
the
my
game, but the game's not
God.
actually any better to watch.
I did ask if we're talking more towards the exciting interpretation. If when we had our interview with the balance team, I was asking them about other levers that are very extreme, but like maybe you can consider another way of getting people to fight each other, even though they're more durable now, and
Yeah.
people generally like the more durability, to still get early action and early fighting. You just need to reward early action and fighting and trading. So what about, I suggested, possible increased rewards for kills.
Yes.
That's going to have big ripple effects. What about incentive for just trading with people and getting people lower?
Health
or
plates.
Something, right? You start thinking down these lines of how do I incentivize people to be more bloodthirsty, to have killer instinct, to look for more trades so that people are lower health,
Yeah.
to go for kills more,
Yeah.
that type of thing. Because that's exciting. You want people to fight. You don't want people to just focus on the value you can get safely with like minions and neutral objectives and plates and stuff like that, because then you'll get to a meta like we have, when it's fully PvE lane swap meta,
Yeah.
which we had a long time ago that nobody liked watching after the novelty of it wore off. Maybe, something along the lines of even like lowering the comparative value of safe farming versus aggressive trading or something like that.
You know, it'd be more exciting.
All right, you do your pitch. I got mine after.
All right, I got one joke. Okay, I guess they're both joke pitches. We need an objective on the map that can get people to fight really early on and make them care about the objective and stacking towards something. Soul would be a good idea. I know that's already been the case, but if you have a stronger dragon, something that is so absurdly powerful, something Chemdrake. No. That's awful. But I think
He canceled on that idea so quickly.
I do think a different tool in the game would be really nice to have earlier on in the map. And another thing for later on in the games that would be good for winning teams would actually just be of the objective bounties being taken away. Just because like something that when objective bounties were initially pitched, or at least like when initially came through in solo queue and everything, the biggest thing that all coaches were saying at the time was like, okay, so if you have a lead, you are just stopping the trades from happening. Like you are playing passively anytime you're setting up for a play towards, let's say a good example would be bot lane or Drake, but the enemy team is trying to trade on the top side of the map. Okay, you have to stop that trade from happening just in general, because you are now giving more gold to the opposing side. So I think if it makes it so the games end a little faster. and it makes the team that are losing definitely to have to be more creative to find ways back in. So I think that's obviously the goal of objective bounties were to create more exciting instances for the opposing team and later on in the games, but it's definitely stopping winning teams from being able to be more proactive.
I personally don't have any problem with the late game right now. I think there's times where the aggressive bounties might be too tuned.
Yeah, as we've been saying a lot, the tuning on them.
Yeah,
yes.
but I don't care about objective.
Should not be getting bounties popping up when you're ahead in gold.
Yeah, that looked really troll. But I will say, early game, to go back to that topic, I like the inverse idea of what you guys were talking about, because you were saying, oh, what if you incentivize kills and you get like a
trading or
first blood gives you more gold or whatever. And then they said, well, sometimes what happens is people get even more passive because they don't want to give that up. And I feel like that often happens in pro play. So you can go the other direction, which is instead of like incentivizing people with bigger rewards, is lower the punishments of dying early. Instant respawn, or like a thing that gets you back in the lane faster, so you're not losing as much experience and minion gold, so that even if you give up the kill gold, you're not punished as the one who died as much as the person who just got the bonus 300 gold. And so lowering the things that go wrong when you die is another way of incentivizing killing, because you don't have to put more gold in the game.
It does have a side like degrading the value of your kill, because now, yes, it doesn't punish you as much. That means that my kill is worth less, because part of the worth of my kill is that you are so heavily punished.
Yeah.
So maybe if you combine that with with adding more bonus to the person who gets the kill, like, okay, I killed you, I get even more gold than I do now, but you also get back quicker or something.
And if I mess up my dive, it's not like, oh, I just screwed myself because I handed you 300 gold and I screwed my wave state and I can't get back to lane now without blowing my TP. And then there's a bunch of reasons why not to go for a kill. And if you just remove the why nots, people will just do it.
That is true.
Like, okay, I don't actually care if I die, so I'm just going to risk this play.
These are just two sides of the same thing.
Yeah, incentives versus punishments.
They're actually the funniest thing in competitive play is when someone gets a solo kill in like the bot lane or something, and the enemy jungler is able to like stop them from getting the wave in. You're like, okay, I've just been disincentivized from solo killing, because now my lane state is actually even in a worse position.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're still adjusting the lever on the exact same thing. So really, what you want is to find a way to increase people's risk tolerance.
Yes.
Because that at the end of the day is the decision being made. And then so that's why I kind of got to the next step of like, okay, maybe not even as far as the actual kill, but like some way to incentivize just trading.
Yeah. Then
to get people lower.
Follow. Yeah.
Right.
And so that one for sure is the case. I was joking with specifically Chemdrake because it was like not a lot of people like the idea, but I do think that there are so many things right now in the game that's incentivizing scaling and basically the long haul in the game, that having Drake early matter. Like for you, if you're a team that has a better scaling comp, it's like, okay, just give away the first 2 Drakes, play towards sides, get an early gold advantage, and we'll contest for 3rd Drake. If you actually stop that by making the individual Drakes matter more, and maybe you can have the trade-off of individual Drakes mattering more, but the actual soul point itself, or whatever it may be. In the past, it was, of course, like there wasn't soul way back. So it's like, okay, no, we actually are incentivized to have early game comps, level 6 comps, basically, so you can team fight early to contest it. That's what would change it, in my opinion. Because there's already a lot right now in the game that's incentivizing scaling for late, but having enough push in your lane so you don't get trounced.
Maybe take a little bit of power out of soul towards the end and put it back towards earlier.
I would say that would be a good
like
idea.
Maybe they respawn earlier, dragons or something like that, so we don't have to wait the whole time.
Yeah, and I mean, I
get rid of all the lanes and make it.
But that also kind of moves up the game-ending power. Like they put some specific levers like Elder Dragon and Baron stuff in the game as game-ending power.
These are all basically
maybe you do want average game time to also go down. I don't know.
Yeah, average game time I don't think actually went up that much overall for pro play. Because
for solo queue it did.
It did, because people aren't as coordinated. But the tools that exist in the game for ending the game are actually very powerful.
Yeah.
Like Baron's really strong.
Yeah.
Elder's very strong.
Yeah.
It's very hard to lose these big objectives multiple times and not end the game unless it's solo queue.
And this question is specifically about making the early game
exciting.
more fun to watch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So that would make it a solution, but obviously the game state is what it is. Because let's say, for instance, if we put more power in early Drakes, well, then Rift Herald is actually just a little bit mute, or maybe 2, because that's already an early game focused objective. That's getting people early fighting. So that would be a preseason change. We are not changing the game this much just for excitement during a season.
Season 13. Looking forward to it, baby. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us on this episode of The Dive. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode of The Dive. A reminder, we will not have an episode next week, as Riot is taking it off. LCS is taking it off as well.
Because of your birthdays, right?
It's that, or
Yes, just delayed a week.
Stars and Bars, I'm pretty sure is the reason. You can also check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Anchor.fm. And remember to submit your questions. We love hearing from you on Twitter, the YouTube comments, or Anchor.fm as well. LCS continues with TSM looking to upset Evil Geniuses Saturday at 1:30 PT. We'll see you there.